I'll start.
2, 1, 0.
Hi everybody, my name is Tom. I'm the less enthusiastic designer in this duo. And a quick random fact about me today is I finally set up a Wi-Fi mesh in my entire house, so I can have a good signal wherever I am, especially in my backyard during the summer. So, whew.
Woohoo! Hello, everybody. I'm Mario. I am the enthusiastic developer in this duo. And if you see me drinking during today's conversation, especially for those audio listeners, I am drinking from a cup that I actually took from the Foo Fighters concert at Arena in Pula. So I managed to see Foo Fighters while Taylor Hawkins was alive. I'm really proud of that. It was an amazing concert. For all of you who haven't,
So you're a thief.
yes. Actually, I don't think it's a thief. I think
You're a
it was
thief.
optional either to return it and get your down payment of €2 for the cup back, or you could leave €2 and take the cup.
Okay, then it's hey, you're not a thief. There's yeah, I know a couple of people that collect pints from pubs and stuff.
But I think pubs do that for marketing, you know. You have,
Yeah.
on one hand, you lose a mug, but then every time a friend comes to that friend is like, hey, I got this at Joe's. And hence Joe's gets word of
Yeah.
mouth marketing.
My wife collects glass pints from Hard Rock Cafe, so we have a ton of them from all over the world. It's kinda
So
cool.
it's kind of cool, except hard rock cafes suck, and they are neither rock nor hard rock. That's the only
So,
thing I'm
to
pissed
be
about.
fair-
I don't care. You have a crane. It's
To be
nice,
fair,
it's
no, no.
international. It's a cool thing, but it's not rock and it's not hard rock. So,
Every time I was in Hard Rock Cafe, I had really good food. It was like really proper food, good barbecue, good burgers. They were playing rock music, and one time I was in Dubai in Hard Rock Cafe. It was, I think, just my last couple of days in Dubai were first couple of days of Ramadan, and they took everything down. All of the posters, there's no ads, everything's closed down, no restaurants are working, but Hard Rock Cafe worked. And they were like, that was pretty punk. And I ate a nice burger middle of the day. It was cool. So it was pretty punk.
very
Um,
nice. Take
anyway,
us into today's topic because it's
the-
yours.
The topic for today was, since we started with stealing stuff and not stealing stuff. I think this is a good intro. Topic for today is NDA contracts and other types of contracts that we have to deal with as professionals. Primarily NDA, but there are non-compete clauses and other stuff like that. All the things that you have to sign when you either onboard a client or join a company. And there was a tweet that somebody shared with me yesterday where some guy said, I don't have GitHub account because I write code that makes money, which was a trigger for this conversation. And the joke is basically that you cannot share things that you work on always, all the time, right? And if you look at my portfolio on my website, there are 3 screenshots for the 3 last projects, and that's it. And a big NDA notice saying that all of my latest projects in the last 5, 6, 7 years are under NDA, and I can't share them publicly, especially the research that has been done. And what I do is I invite people who want to take a look at my portfolio to book a discovery call with me, then when I'm very open to share what I did and talk about it in a very controlled manner.
Yes. So this is a problem, and I would like to take it. I'd like to kind of take this discussion apart to two different directions. One is that when you are a seasoned professional that's actually worked in serious companies and you have signed an NDA, then, and you do want to talk about your work, you have to see how to do that. That's one. Another way this conversation could go is I use the Joker card. Well, everything I do is under NDA in order not to have to show my work. So I kind of use it like a get out of jail free card when interviewing or doing anything, and that's not what it was meant for, and that's something that really, really, really annoys me. So, if you hear me being annoyed during this one, yeah.
How do you go around that when hiring?
How do I go around that when hiring? I have usually when I place an ad for a senior, I say, okay, I'm gonna treat you as a senior. I'm not gonna give you a to-do list task to do, but please find some code that you've done that you are proud of. I don't care what it is. Obfuscate it as much as possible, get it out of context, rename the variables. I don't care, but show me something that you are really proud of doing, and then let's talk about it. You decide how much we're going to talk about it. If you cannot do any of that, then I'm going to give you a task. Like, I understand that a lot of the work a senior person has done is under NDA. A lot of the work I do on a daily basis is under NDA. However, I need to see some of your work. Find a way to show me your work. And this is on you as a professional to understand the limit of what you can show and cannot show, and what you can talk about and what you cannot talk about. But find a way to show me as a potential employer something that you've done.
Yeah, I had a I have a friend who's a very senior developer who's now looking actively for a role after more than a decade in a company as a senior and a lead and a CTO at the end, and he has so much experience. And all of the code that he wrote is intellectual property that is under a mountain of contracts because the industry he was working at was mostly largest world insurance companies. So there's a lot of proprietary software, a lot of stuff that he cannot share publicly. There's no way he can put that into Git repository. And he was like, "Oh, this is what I did for this large company owned by the one of the richest men in the world." So, I think at that point, someone might actually enforce that contract, and there would be hell to pay. But there are situations where I'm pretty sure people that made you sign an NDA for a logo that you did 9 years ago, nobody gives a shit about that NDA, and I wouldn't even guess that it's enforceable that long after it has been done. But there are situations where you need to show your work, like you said. And actually, I was interviewing with a potential client yesterday, and I had to share some of my work. And I was speaking to two other very senior designers in the company, and in like 60 minutes of our conversation, I think I actually shared screens and showed some of the stuff for maybe 5 minutes. It was very short. They just wanted to see how some of the things were done. I shared the design system more than the screen itself. And once you get to a point where you have a lot of experience, you can talk about the things that you did, how you did them, and why you did them. That showing something is just make sure that this guy doesn't use Comic Sans, at least in design, right? So it's kind of okay. This guy knows what he's talking about. He can obviously talk a lot about the process and the work, and then showing the screens is merely just a confirmation that the work has been done rather than anything else. And I just talked about some of the issues and the challenges I faced working with the larger team and managing stakeholders, how to get everybody on the same page, how do you champion your decisions, and why did you make decisions like this and not like that? What were the failures? What were the learnings and stuff like that? More than I used Helvetica here and this shade of blue there. Like nobody gives a fuck actually. When you're interviewing for a UI designer that needs to show pretty UI, then you're gonna be obligated to do that. But when you're senior interviewing for the senior role, it doesn't matter as much.
But this is exactly it. So if you're a senior interviewing for a senior role, let's say in development, I don't, and you worked for company X, and company X builds that social network for dogs where dogs can say woof, which we already talked about. I don't care about the actual structure of your database and things like that. What I do care is the fact that you came up with, hey, I don't know, the stakeholders said we're going to have three types of posts. One is going to be video, one is going to be image, and another one is going to be just pure text. And then you came in as a senior engineer and said, no, we're going to build it like we have N types of posts, because in 3 months we're going to come up with a new type of post. And if we lock ourselves in with three types of posts, then we're screwed. So we're going to build it in a way that we can have N different types of posts. And for this, we're gonna use an interface. We're gonna have an abstract class. We're gonna have a separate database class with all of the particular properties for each post type. We're gonna use. We've had a discussion between, I don't know, type per table or type per hierarchy type of database things, and then we made this decision because of these and these reasons. And this is a conceptual decision that I'm interested in. I'm not, and this is a conceptual decision. I'm interested in how you made it. I don't care how your database looks. I don't care what data you have in it. I care that you have the broadness of mind which you took on as a problem and solved it. And you can tell me about that problem without even saying that you did that for this and this company. You can say, in one of the companies I worked with, we had a stakeholder who said we need these three types of things. And then I came in and told them, no, we don't need three types of things because in 3 months you're going to change your mind. We need N types of things and we're going to solve the problem for N. And I did it like this. We chose the table per hierarchy. I don't even care which company it is. But I understand that you have the technical knowledge to make that decision, that you have the practical knowledge from experience to make that decision, because you understand that the clients are going to change their minds because, hey, guess what? The clients are going to change their minds. And that you understand the value of, when doing something, do it in a extendable way so that later when you have to extend it, everything is prepared. So there is a way to talk about concepts without actually talking where they were applied, in which company they were applied, and how they were applied. But when talking about concepts, you can still show off your skill, your knowledge, and your understanding of the situation, and come off as that you know what you're doing, because apparently you do.
So, what would be your advice then for if somebody's trying to find a job as a developer, who's a senior developer and is applying to jobs? What do they put on, like, what do they apply with if they don't have a GitHub account that's filled with stuff? And is it just CV alone, or
So, first of all, I don't agree with not having a GitHub account. My advice to
okay?
any developer, junior or senior, is please have a GitHub account. A GitHub account is your CV. Like, from your CV, if I'm looking at your CV, I'm going to take a glimpse at where you were hired, but looking at your code is going to show me much more. Saying that, you can have a GitHub account that just shows off concepts. So I was working in a project and we had a situation where I had to use dynamic components for Blazor, and then it pissed me off how they are done with a lot of magic strings. So I kind of worked around it, and I found a way to use interfaces and to use the compiler to my advantage and all of those nice things. And so I wrote a blog post about it. And my blog post doesn't have the actual classes that are being changed, the actual place, but I have 3 dummy classes, dog, cat, mouse, and then show the concept, just the basic concept with those classes. But when you come and when you Google Mario and when you come to my blog, then you see that, and you see that I understand the concept. And when you look at my GitHub repo, it's basically a start new project to do with the concept in like 20 lines of code, 30 maybe. But it shows that I understand a concept. And I think any senior can do this, and it's going to take him or her like 3 hours to add a meaningful project every now and then. And if once in every 3 months you take 3 hours and describe one technical concept that you've done, then a year later you have a good enough GitHub that you can apply to any job. And when they ask you, show me the code, you just show them the concepts. So excuses that I cannot put anything in there because everything I do is under NDA, and excuses that I have no idea what to put in there, and excuses that I only write code for money, I only write code that makes money, are excuses. They are. And, I know people who actually make a really good living without having a GitHub because they chose to do so. And apparently it is doable. However, I don't want to do that for myself. And my advice to anybody listening, please have a freaking GitHub account.
You seem angry.
Yeah. But I'm not angry. I'm not as angry at senior developers not having a GitHub account. I'm angry at junior developers not having a GitHub account. So if you're a junior developer listening, please have a GitHub account. And when juniors apply to positions and don't have a GitHub account, the two most often reasons are: one, I had no idea what to put in there. Like, you just wrote me a motivational letter where you say that you are really interested and really enthusiastic about learning everything about software development. Well, show me. Show me that today you have opened YouTube, typed, I want to learn something about, watched the tutorial, did it, retyped it, and then if you already retyped it, commit it. Just commit it so that you show me as your potential employer that you did it. If you are practicing algorithm tasks, commit them. If you are practicing, I don't know, how to work with Mongo, commit the demo project. Just commit it. Show me that you're doing something. Or if a junior developer comes to me and says, yeah, I did this. Okay, can I see it? And it was for a company, it's under NDA. Like, dude, you're a junior. Show me what you do. If you're a junior with everything is under NDA, then that's kind of I'm more lenient that it's in the excuse area than in the actual problematic of the NDA thing. But again, this is my personal frustration. This doesn't have to be correct in the industry. This is just my point of view, and screw you. This is my show and I can share my point of view.
This is why you're here. This is why we don't have anybody here who doesn't have a GitHub account. Well, I don't have a GitHub. No, actually, I have. I have a GitHub account. I think I maybe have one commit. I need to look for some bullshit.
But you probably have Dribble, or I don't know what the designers use nowadays.
So designers use Dribble and Behance, and my Dribble was last updated in 2013. It's been 10 years now, and to come back to your every 3 months put something on there is yeah, but there's always more important shit to do and you never get around to it. And then suddenly 10 years goes by and I look at my Dribble and it was like, oh, cool, this is all irrelevant as fuck. So I don't use Dribble anymore. And it became kind of, there was this, I called it the dribblization of design, where, and don't get me wrong, I like Dribble, and I ran a Dribble meetup, and I run a Dribble community still. So, but it kind of became a place for people to come and everybody does the same shit. There were a couple of, because Dribble works in a way that it promotes popular designers. So on the front page or the popular page or hot section or however it's called, it's always the same 5, 10, 20-ish people, right? In the beginning, it was even less. And they are the innovators, do their own style and whatever. Cool. But everybody just goes on there, picks up whatever they did, copies it, and rehashes their shit. So you have a copy of a copy of a copy of someone's original design. There are a couple of people who are amazing to follow. But then if you come in with something that is not a trend, and want to show off your work, when people who are hiring are looking at your dribble portfolio, they would look like, oh, this is popular, this is your thing, it doesn't match, next one up, right? So people started to do dribble stuff just to look like they're doing the current thing. This year, everything's this, and last year, everything's like purple. Everything is Web3, black and purple. Do the thing. It's with gradients and glowing shit and cool. But you will not build a website for Lidl that has a purple glowing shit on it. So there's a lot of practicality that goes into design that is 98% of the work, and other 2% maybe fall on dribble and shit
So
like that.
I'm
So
following
yeah,
Chris Doe on LinkedIn, and Chris Doe recently had a post where he said, I get a lot of people asking me, how do I do my carousels? And then he went on and
yeah,
said, this is how I do them. I chose these three font types, and then he says font type A, font type B, font type. These are the sizes of my fonts. These are the weights of my fonts. These are the colors that I use. These are the things that I do. And he literally gave the whole design set ready to be
yeah,
used. And then he finishes,
yeah,
but this is me. You don't want to be
exactly.
me. You want to be you. So don't do
Yeah,
what I do because I do it. Think about why I do what I do and apply it to what you do. So don't be me, be you. And it actually resonated quite strongly because you do learn by copying others. That's unavoidable. So you will learn by copying others, but the idea is when you copy others or when you look at what others are doing, don't think about, hey, I want to do it exactly the same. Think about, my problem is a little bit different, but this technique, this method, this way of thinking, this whatever can be applied, and then do that.
it's his post is called "Steal My Design," and it's a great post. And like you said, what I think the important thing is when you're doing stuff like that is act like a chef. So yes, if you're a junior, by all means, copy Chris Doe and copy people who are doing great shit, and then but treat their stuff as a recipe, right? So this is their recipe, this is this guy's recipe, and then come up with your own, combine, see what you can come up with. So yeah, Chris Doe has a immaculate typography, use that, pick up his principles of typography. Not this size of photo has this size of font, that doesn't matter, but see why is that size, and what is the ratios, and what happens, and how the information is being displayed and stuff like that, and then steal that and then put that into your stuff. And yeah,
And
makes sense.
if I can just go back to the topic, we're talking about NDAs
Yeah,
and how to show off the NDA work. So, a lot of times, if I do something on a client project and I think about, okay, this would be a cool, so I run a small blog of my own, and this would be a cool post for my blog. But, rats, I did it on a client project. What I normally do, and what we've been coming back in this podcast on each episode, is I come there and ask, hello, people. I would love this concept that I applied here is cool, and I would love to blog about it. Is it okay for you if I do so without disclosing any? And I will show it to you for approval before publishing it. 99.999999999% people will say, yeah, go for it. Like, in 99% of the cases, when you ask directly, hey, I would like to do something about this, is it okay with you? They will say yes. And what I usually do is I tell them, okay, I will give it to you for pre-approval just to verify that by any chance I hadn't disclosed any information that I shouldn't have. And I do that. And people in business are, in most cases, normal, reasonable people. And when you come to them with a normal, reasonable request, they will help you. They don't have a reason not to. So I'm pretty sure that if you did that with the design, it's a little bit different because it's a picture and you cannot really obfuscate it. With code, it's much easier to obfuscate it or to do it on a principle level. But I've never had a client when I asked. I did this like at least 10 times, and I never had a client saying no, you cannot do that. So
Yeah, that makes sense. If you ask nicely, people are more inclined to say yes than no, at least from my experience. But yeah, with design, it tends to be a little bit trickier, especially if it's an agency working for a client, and then agency hires you as an outside contractor. They don't want to, they don't want their clients to know that they are hiring outside of their agency and resource outsourcing all of the stuff. It's kind of it's tricky, right? I did some like UIs for some apps that are done for an agency that did it for a company, and it's like, yeah, that's it. Like they were like, you are not allowed to show this done, like to at any shape or form. It's like it was a 1 month project, UI for an iOS app, whatever. Good money, but it doesn't exist. When you look at my iOS portfolio and all the apps that I designed, like in the last 5 years, I was only doing B2B work and dashboards because all of the phone apps are, apart from the one that I designed for myself, don't exist, right? Do you have mobile phone experience? And it falls under trust me, bro category.
So there are going to be edge cases where you can't use it, and well, that's life. I mean, you won't be able to use
Well,
100% of your references. Yeah, you won't, but
yeah. Yeah,
90% you will.
subcontracting for an agency is not an edge case, especially not in freelancing. Subcontracting for this is how agencies work. This is how agencies operate. So that's not an edge case, especially if agency says, "Oh, our agency did this award-winning thing for the thing." It's not, "Oh, a designer we hired from whatever for this project." It's like the agency did it.
So again, it
And
depends. I don't know how different it is between design and development, but recently I've worked through an agency for a company, and I asked them nicely, listen, I would love to use this as a reference. I'm going to put you as my client. Obviously, I'm not going to put them, but can I describe the project vaguely? And they say, yeah, providing it's
yeah,
vague
yeah,
enough, of
describing
course.
the
You
project,
cannot
of
say,
course.
yeah, we did it for this client, this sub-client. You cannot do that. But you can,
Yeah,
again, use the concept. We worked on a project which was a business application that allowed users to, blah.
whatever. Yeah, absolutely. But it does work with design. A concept. I built a logo that showcase a sign that describes what company does. It's great. It's beautiful. It's blue. It's blue. What shade of blue?
Ah,
Well,
yeah,
that's the
NDA.
secret.
No, but like,
It's just blue, man. Does it have an animal on it? Like, I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
where's the
Maybe.
limit between an animal?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it
What's an
has
animal?
animals.
But yeah. So, but there are. I've asked you this before we started recording, but I'm gonna repeat it otherwise. I don't know anyone who got in trouble for any NDA stuff personally. I've never met anyone who did some of the things that, like you said, with the grain of salt, right? And when you're interviewing and sharing your screen and presenting, people will not remember what you shared, and they don't give a shit, to be honest. So if you have an NDA, don't cannot put it publicly, but still, like, feel free to talk to people and show it to them. Just make sure that it's not a direct competition of of the company. It's like, oh yeah, you work for them. Well, you want to interview with us? Show us what you did. That would be some James Bond shit, but that never happened.
But maybe
But yeah,
that's maybe also a part of an interview. Like, uh, I as an interviewer can see how you talk about stuff that you did for your previous clients, and I can assume that on your next interview you're gonna speak about the stuff that you do for me in the same manner. So if you open up your ex-client's project, which was under NDA, and then you show me everything and share all of the business secrets, yeah, I might not be too pleased about that. I might not care. I probably won't care, but it might be something that speaks volumes of you. While if you try to say politely, listen, this was under NDA, I'm going to tell you what I can. I'm not going to tell you what I shouldn't because I want to respect my clients. That can resonate to me really nicely because that means that in the same manner, you're going to respect my project in your future interviews. So, always do it with a grain of salt and think about that everything you do kind of paints a picture of you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It reflects on you as a professional, for sure.
So, what did we conclude? We concluded that the NDAs are there and they're a must and they make sense. And I don't know about you, but for me, even if I don't sign one, I act as if I did sign one. We concluded that you shouldn't show direct work under NDA, but you can talk about your results and the concepts that you applied. And we, I think, agreed
And
that you shouldn't use the NDA as an excuse not to show anything. Again, I hope that you note the frustration in my voice because, yeah,
yeah, yeah, do not use NDA as an excuse, but be sure that you can show something, whatever it is, that conveys the work you did. You have a joke for the
I
end?
have a joke for the end. It's horrible.
Okay, you go first.
AKA is also known as.
Okay, that was difficult. That was yeah, that was terrible. So I have one that I loved. I laughed. I've been laughing at it for the last couple of days since I heard it. So somebody, uh, I think on Instagram, resurrected the topic of Chuck Norris jokes, and I think the post was, "Kids today will not know how great this man is, and tell us the greatest things you know about this man." And I read a couple of new ones, and the one that I love is Chuck Norris does not dial a wrong number. You pick up the wrong phone. I love that one. It was so great. Ah, made me chuckle for a couple of days. So good. Ah, yeah. I love those jokes. I love Chuck Norris jokes. I know they're all worn out, but I
I
love
love
them.
the
They're
fact
always
that
funny.
Chuck Norris is open to making Chuck Norris jokes like real.
Yeah, he loves them. One of the good ones is also like Jesus can walk on water, but Chuck Norris can swim on land.
No, but the best one is when they made Expendables. I'm gonna say three, and when actually Chuck Norris comes in and swoops in and saves their asses, then Sylvester Stallone asks him, "I heard that you were bitten by a kid King Cobra," and then Chuck Norris responds, "Yeah, the bitch lived for 5 more days and then died of poisoning." Like, you know, embracing it, making jokes, amazing. Yes.
Beautiful,
And you got a
beautiful.
high note with Chuck Norris.
Thanks everybody. Yeah, that was a high note. Thanks everybody for listening, watching,
Subscribe, like,
tuning in.
tell your mothers about us, whatever.
And we have 2 more episodes by the end of this season. Next one next week is going to be a regular one, and then we're going to do a live Q&A recording with our fans and listeners,
All three
all
of
of
you.
you listening, all 3 of you. So there will be a post going around on our socials. Hopefully, people tune in.
Yay!
See you, Mario.